What do Hermione Granger, Dr. Watson, and Nick Carraway have in common? They're all side characters in well-known novels, but two of them come with a twist. Want to learn why side characters sometimes steal the show and become readers' favorites? Stay tuned! Hi, I'm Tanya E. Williams, author of historical women's fiction, including the Smith Family Trilogy, the Hotel Hamilton series, and the standalone novels in the Vintage Vineyard series. And today, we're talking about side characters. But first, don't forget to hit subscribe, and you'll be notified each week when I release new videos covering topics that shape a story idea into a novel readers will enjoy. Before we get to that twist, it may be hard to believe, but for me, the side characters in my novels are often my favorite ones to write. In fact, the side character of Mrs. Boyd from Becoming Mrs. Smith remains someone I continue to think about almost 10 years after the book's release. Becoming Mrs. Smith is the first story in the Smith Family Trilogy. To give you an idea of how impactful Mrs. Boyd's character was for me, I'll put it in perspective. The story is a novella, maxing out at 135 pages, so it's not as if she had oodles of time to win me over. But Mrs. Boyd did come to me vividly, with purpose and intention. She is a great example of a side character who has independent depth while also providing reader insight into her life and emotions. But her character does double duty, as it mirrors the main character's own thoughts, worries, and achievements. Spoiler alert, Mrs. Boyd's experience within the story strikes at the very heart of what our protagonist in Becoming Mrs. Smith is most afraid of. For example, Becoming Mrs. Smith takes place on the American home front during World War II. Mrs. Boyd's only son is away at war, and so is the main character's Violet Beau, soon to find himself there as well. This is where their similarities begin. The two women have the same deep-rooted concern for their loved ones. As the story progresses, Mrs. Boyd takes the role of mentor for Violet, as she encourages her not to waste the precious time she has left before her love, John, leaves for war. The role of mentor or teacher for a side character is commonly used, and one most readers are familiar with. As an author, I aim to use the valuable resource of a side character to help my protagonist grow, learn, reflect, and even shift perspectives when the need arises. Side characters are often wise and caring, and more often than not, easy for readers to love. Looking at our well-known story examples, Hermione Granger is known for her intelligence as one of Harry Potter's sidekicks. As the series progresses, readers get to see more of Hermione and discover she is also fiercely loyal and clever beyond being book smart. These characteristics make Hermione not only easy to like as a reader, but as readers we instinctively understand why Harry needs her in his life. That combination is side character magic. No pun intended. When it comes to Dr. Watson, Sherlock Holmes' side character, there's a twist that you may or may not have picked up on. Even though Sherlock Holmes is indeed the protagonist in the stories, the novels are actually narrated by his side character, Dr. Watson. So in this case, Sherlock Holmes' actions, thoughts, and shifts in understanding of the mystery he is trying to solve are all viewed through the lens of his well-known sidekick. This is not only a deeply intelligent method of side character development, this approach lets the reader know everything they need to know about both characters while staying true to Sherlock's brooding characterization that otherwise might close the door for readers wanting to understand the detective and his behavior more deeply. F. Scott Fitzgerald's Great Gatsby side character, Nick Carraway, shows up in the novel in similar fashion to Dr. Watson, since the story is told from Nick's perspective, despite the actions happening to Gatsby himself. What stands out for me with regard to Nick as a side character is that he is the person who bears witness to the events as they unfold. He is in the loop and as a reader, we trust his account of things, probably more than we trust the charming Gatsby. In this way, Fitzgerald masterfully crafted a reliable side character for an unreliable protagonist. Side characters have an opportunity to serve as story boosters in the form of a protagonist's friends, mentors, and family members. They allow our protagonists to get out of their own head and speak the words out loud. Sometimes they even exist simply for comic relief, and they can even be disguised as a villain. I will admit that most of my side characters are the mentoring sort. They are often older than my protagonist and resemble the type of connection one might find with a grandparent. I'm quite aware my creation of these types of side characters is my way of recreating a relationship that ended far too soon in my own childhood. A few of my favorite side characters from my novels are as follows: Mrs. Boyd in Becoming Mrs. Smith, Pastor Michael in All That Was. Also in All That Was, my comic relief side character Dorothea. She was a hoot to write, and she was inspired by the very real Madame of Seattle. In the Hotel Hamilton series, I purposely added Cookie, the hotel's pastry chef, as a mentor for Clara, but the further I go into writing the series, I have to say that Ms. Thompson is one of my favorite characters. In Growing Into Greatness, the side character of Nono is probably my favorite character of all time. I still miss him every day. It turns out I have my own twist on side characters in the Bootlegger's Betrayal. The novel is told from the dual point of view, with Meg being the story's protagonist. But if you look closely, you'll find that despite being the protagonist, Meg ends up being June's mentor, just as June ends up being Meg's. Perhaps they're not true side characters, either one of them, but they do play a role in mentoring one another, just as a side character might do. If you think back to some of your favorite novels, you might discover that the reason you enjoyed a book had less to do with the main character and more to do with the sidekick. So tell me, who is your favorite side character of all time? Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe so YouTube knows that you like this content. Until next time, happy reading.